Hey everyone, welcome to the results video of the Microcoaster mini contest. In this contest, all the players had to build a small coaster on a 10 by 10 plot. Here you can see the coaster that I quickly made for the announcement video. Anyway, 15 players handed in a submission for this contest. So I will start with the one that finally got last place, and I'll finish with by announcing the winner of the round. Okay, here we have the entry from Gustav Goblin. He got last place in this contest. While many players found this coaster quite impressive. It is quite a big spaghetti here in the sky. I think it would have been scored much higher if he focused a little bit more on actually making it look nice. Because that's something you will see much more in the other entries. You will see much more in the scenery department. So yeah, impressive layout, not too realistic of course, but I think it is quite impressive to cram this all in a 10 by 10 plot. Okay, here's the entry from Only Chaos DJ. He made this limb-launched coaster here, quite a compact layout with lots of vertical track. So the train actually gets launched out of this station, goes straight up through this cobra roll, and straight down and then up this spike here. Now I must say I actually kind of like the way he decorated his paths here, and he also put these fences around them so the guests cannot walk into this coaster. Also a little building here in the corner. Now I always recommend against making your walls fully out of this mine material. It looks much nicer if you give it some more details. As for the coaster, I think it's quite an interesting layout. Something that probably would have helped is if this spike here actually had some more supports. Because right now it's just completely freestanding here. And in this way it does look quite flimsy. Okay, here's the entry from Herbert. Now I actually really like how he decorated his lift hill here. This support structure for it, I think that looks really cool. So like these cog wheels here in the top. And it's it's quite an interesting layout. He used the lay down coaster for this. My favorite part is actually the lift hill. It kind of starts like one of those Vekoma Stingray coasters. Now it does go quite fast through this layout with a lot of parts where the guests are laying on their back. But I think it is it is quite cool how we managed to cram so much track into this design. The scenery is quite basic here. It just looks like a red floor with some red rocks and these pipes which have fire shooting out of them. So probably in the scenery department this could have used some more work. But still, I actually kind of like the overall theme here. And I also kind of like the coaster layout. Okay, here's the entry from Darkoro. I believe he was the first to submit his entry. He made a really simple coaster called the Mini Sonic XLC. So like a mini version of the Hypersonic XLC. Now, as you can see, there was no space to actually bank the track. So that's also why it has these insane lateral G-forces. So this definitely would not be very comfortable to ride. This is probably also the reason that it scored quite low in all these entries. Now, for the scenery, I kind of like the way this looks. I like the way Darkoro did the queue here with these different layers of paths stacked on top of each other. Also, I like the plaza here with some of these plants in the corners here. That's really cool. And I also like how he did the fence around the coaster here. Here's the entry from Brian 3D. He made this steel wild mouse coaster. It actually goes quite high here, and it's in this foresty landscape with some waterfalls and stuff around it. I actually like the way he did the landscaping here and the paths. That looks pretty cool. As for the coaster, well, it probably wouldn't be very comfortable to ride. Just like Darkoro's coaster, the lateral forces on this ride must be quite intense. It does these steep drops every time, and after each steep drop there's immediately a 180-degree turn. Yeah, that's just a lawsuit waiting to happen. And especially here at this last section, this last turn just gets taken at a pretty high speed. So yeah, the coaster is very compact, but I probably would skip this one if I had the opportunity to ride this. Okay, here's the entry from Kazulius. He made a really simple layout, but it had a really nice story. Okay, the layout is essentially just a mirror image. The coaster gets launched out of the station, goes through this heart shape. Then here's some track, and then it does another heart shape at the end. And I think he really nicely decorated this entry. It's called the Love Machine. You can also see two entertainers on top, which are Amy and me. Very cute. I really like that. Amy also really loved this entry. So yeah, I think he did a really nice job there. So it's a simple layout, but I think it's done in a really cool way. And the story and the entertainers, I think they just finish it. Okay, here's the entry from Safi Adam. He made a little pirate village, looks like, with this simple coaster here in the middle, using the single rail coaster track. Kind of reminds me of one of those Skyline attractions rides, but with a single car. So it is a simple layout and simply does these 4 inversions in succession, and I believe it does 3 circuits. While it's a simple layout, I think it looks it's situated here in this little village really nicely. There's a path all around, so the guests all have a clear view of this ride. It sits nicely in the center here. I actually like the way these default supports look for this coaster. So yeah, while it's a simple coaster, I think it works well. It actually breaks down quite quickly after you open the park. That's probably something to avoid. You can see the mechanic walking away here. Always remember before you submit your park to hit the Renew Rides button, just to make sure that your coaster has a high reliability again, so that it doesn't break down as soon as you open the park. Right now the reliability is at 18%, so it will probably break down again soon. But if we hit the Renew Ride button, it goes back to 100%. So that's definitely a good thing to keep in mind. Here's the entry from Phoenix Wing 101. She made a polar coaster. Now, I don't believe a polar coaster has actually been built on the world yet. Basically, there is a big tower with a coaster that wraps around it. Now, yeah, I think, to be fair, I think she should have made it a little bit higher, because the way it looks now, it kind of looks a little bit like a spaghetti. These tracks seem a bit squished together like this. Well, it must have taken quite a while to do all these supports connecting these tracks to the tower. But yeah, to be fair, I am not really a big fan of these supports. Probably because there's so much track stacked here. Then again, remember, this is just my opinion. I saw a lot of different scores on this park. Yeah, quite a few people gave it a very high score, and quite a few people gave it a very low score. So I believe we can call it a controversial park in that regard. But still, I think the idea here that Fien tried to execute here is very, very nice. Something else which I personally gave a little bit of a lower score for is the station of the coaster, because here you can see some supports for this tower, and they just go through the track here. So yeah, I think that's a little bit of that definitely could have been done in a much nicer way. But still, I think it's a really nice idea, and I hope to see more people do a polar coaster in the future. Okay, here's the entry from Jasanden. I personally really love this entry. It's kind of like a Mower X-car coaster, I believe that's what it's called. So it travels up the chain lift here, goes upside down, and then it does sort of like a loop of track here. Here's a little brake section, which he used the booster sprites for. That's pretty cool. I really like the way he did the supports in this entry. I also love the decorations for it. You can see this rocket here with this typical structure, and for the coaster, that same structure is present here, also with the yellow stuff on top of it. Yeah, I really like the way he decorated his queue and the buildings in the park, and I was also a really big fan of the supports. So yeah, I think Designer did an amazing job here. Okay, here's the entry from Delta Euclid. I also really like this entry, so this is kind of like a scene from Portal. You probably know the game. So yeah, very compact coaster with several inversions. And it also has several sections where the trains teleport. You can see this orange and these blue windows here. As soon as the coasters go through one of those sections, they pop out some elsewhere in the track. I also really like the decorations for the plot. All this stuff under here. Yeah, that all this looks really good. I also love the palette that was used because it gives this this white color. Yeah, a really pleasant tint to look at. And it combines really well with the orange and the blue. Yeah, I think it's a really fun layout, a really nice theme, and it's just really well executed. Here we have the entry from Enox. Enox kind of recreated a scene from a fair he visited as a child. Here you can see some Dutch buildings, or Belgian buildings, not sure. So I believe this is the town hall. Here's another big building. And then there's this coaster which is in front of it. I think it's interesting how he gave most of the things in the park like this sepia tint, but the coaster has its original colors, so it really pops out. Some people really like that, other people liked it less. Personally, I think this gives the coaster a really unique feel. I am a big fan of this style of coloring his coaster. I think I also like the layout for the coaster. It's just a simple first some winding parts, some steep drops throughout the track, just like a real wild mouse would look like, except that this version is inverted. Alright, here's the entry from Manticore. He actually remade a coaster, a Lego coaster actually. So Lego actually has released a coaster build that looks like this, and Manticore decided to recreate it. I think he did a really nice job at it, and something I also really liked is that he actually made the palette so that these guys all have yellow heads, just like Lego characters. Well, I don't have a picture here of the original Lego set, but you will probably find it if you look for Lego coaster. It actually looks quite a lot like the original, also with even with a transfer track with the second train parked on it. The layout also kind of looks the same. Some things which I personally liked a little bit less were just how tight these turns for the coaster are here, but also that the supports for the track above here actually just clip through the track below it. Not sure if that really was supposed to look like that. But still, a really unique entry, and I think he did a really nice job at it. Okay, here's the entry from Axolotl. Now, I personally gave this entry the maximum possible score, because I really like the way this looks. It's kind of like a futuristic coaster. Lots of track texture here in the form of this single rail coaster track. I really like the layout of this coaster, with it first passing over and then passing on the underside of this arch. So first goes over and then later it passes through this cutback which goes under it. It's just really nicely decorated with all this single rail coaster track, but also these trees, this sphere on top here. So definitely not a very realistic coaster, but I just love the way this looks, and it's very very creative. So yeah, I hope to see many more builds from Axolotl. I truly enjoyed this entry. Okay, there's just 2 entries remaining. I will now first show both of those entries, and after that I will reveal which one is the winner of the round. Okay, here's the entry from Lurker. He actually made a launched water coaster. No, that's not something you see very often. I was actually the one who updated Open Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 to allow boosters for the water coaster track. So it's nice to see someone use it here. So yeah, the coaster leaves the station here. Here's a little boosted track. And then after that the trains go around for a lap. And then finally here they splash down in this body of water. I think Lurker did an incredible job on the looks of the station. Just nice and detailed. Love the different windows and doors. Also the plants above this path here. The little roofs. Yeah, I really like the style that Lurker uses for his buildings. Also really like the way he did the foliage here. And the little body of water. The bridge here. It all just looks really nice. Now, one thing I personally probably would have changed was, this body of water for the coaster is just really small. I probably would have added some log flume track here, just to make the body of water that it travels through a little bit longer. But yeah, that's really the only nitpick I could find. I think everything else in this entry just looks really good. Really nice job from Lurker. Okay, then here's the final entry from Ulvenwood. He made this really compact vertical drop coaster / floorless coaster. So here's this beautiful station. Actually, I believe this is the station, not sure. Yeah, it is. And travels up the lift hill here. It actually has some really tight turns, which help it actually traverse the track here. Here's the vertical drop. And then here's a big inversion. I love the support structure for it. And then after that, it travels through this curve here. And here's a second vertical drop, but this one's twisted. Actually goes through it quite fast. And here's a crazy inversion before it returns back to the station with another very tight turn here. Now, what I really like about this entry is actually the layout of this coaster. I think it wraps. Well, it's just situated in this plot really nicely. A nice diversity of elements. I love the palette. These colors, they go together really well. I also love the structures that Ulvenwood made. The top of this tower, I think it looks great also with these colors. And yeah, the colors that pop out like this pink, they're all used really nicely here. Also some plants here placed on the side of this tower just to make it look a little bit overgrown. So yeah, I think Ulvenwood did an incredible job here. This coaster absolutely looks amazing. Alright, now it's time to reveal which player is the winner of the Microcoaster mini contest. The winner of this contest is Ulvenwood. Yeah, like I said, this was a beautiful entry. There were many really nice entries in this round, and yeah, we may do another one of these in the future. Maybe with the same rule, maybe with same rules, or maybe with slightly different rules. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching all these entries. If you want to join one of these contests, simply join my Discord server. The link is in the video description. Discord is completely free, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.